And we're recording. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Today is April 4th, 2019. This is the Helm Developer Public Call. For anyone who is here for the first time or hasn't seen one of these recordings before, how we go through it is we start with announcements for the last week. We do this at a weekly cadence. Then we go through kind of stand-ups, what all the core maintainers have been going through, and if anyone wants to pipe up from the community and talk about what they've been working on, then that's a good opportunity to talk about that there. Then we go on to discussion items for the agenda for the week, and then we go into assignments moving forward for next week. So I don't see any announcements in the dev notes. I'll just post a quick link here for the moment. I see Adam has got something to say. So,
yes. So I'm very happy to announce that we have voted in Martin to be core maintainer. So welcome, Martin. I think you're going to be a great addition to the team. You're extremely helpful and friendly to people in the community, and I think you're going to be a great fit for the team. So I am glad to have you on board. So I'll follow up with you afterwards and help you through anything that is involved with becoming a maintainer. You're pretty much doing all of it anyway already, so should be pretty easy.
Thank you to everyone.
But thank you, Martin, and welcome.
Congratulations, Martin. Is there anything else that we want to talk about for announcements for the last week, or was that all?
Did we finally have dates for the summit that we can announce?
Not at this time. So the last update that I heard is that we're trying to get the sponsorship packages and everything else all squared away. I think we're coming up with, so Michelle, Adam, and myself are part of the program committee, or at least I think it's just you and me, Adam, that are part of the program committee, and Michelle's part of the chair. But basically we're trying to come up with some of the descriptions. So like for day one, day two, going through those, and then kind of going through those kind of things first, and then we'll I think the Linux or the CNCF will announce the official dates when they're ready to. So we're just kind of going through the very last things before we officially announce and lock down the dates, I think, at this point. So we're very close. Yeah,
the issues all around venue. We keep running into issues with getting venues confirmed. So that's really the only blocker. Is as soon as we get the full confirmation, then we'll be good.
Yeah.
If you want any help from me this side of the world, give me a shout. If, for example, you need me to jet over or whatever to have a look, or any help outside of it, I'm there to help.
Great. Yeah. Thanks.
Awesome. All right. With that, let's go into stand-ups. Taylor, do you want to go first?
Sure thing. So I've been working on PRs this week. I'm working with some follow-up around the atomic flag that Fisher's working on. There's just a PR for that to just clean up some things. And then I also took on that second review for the deleting resources when things fail. That flag. So I'm working on just testing that manually, and then that'll be good to go. And so the two of those combined will actually be really useful for people in CI/CD situations. So that'll be good to get all together and done. So I'm working on that. I'll probably work on some more PRs this week. I think I can volunteer in advance to be the issue Sherpa for this next week. So note taker, whoever it is this week, because I don't know who it is, please just put me down. And I will be the issue Sherpa this week. And then I think I've been able to rearrange my schedule to get some more consistent, like, daily work on Helm instead of one day. So I can do that now. So that's all for me this week, and I will pass it off to Martin.
Sorry, on mute. So this last week, I was working on 2 PRs. So one of them was closed around the make docs target. So thank you to Adam and Ronan. So we had a discussion around that, if we still needed a docs target or not, which we do. So I just it ended up just being a fix in the end for because it was accessing the client only. So that was merged. So thanks for the review on that. I have 2 open ones. One is around the lib charts, and that's ready for review when people get a chance. And also there's one around the history with app version. So I might come back to you, Matt Fisher, on that, because I just realised after doing it there was a duplicate out there, but maybe we'd want both because of V2 and V3. So we can have a look at that and see what happens.
Yeah, so I got that on my backlog for things to review. So currently I can give a little mini stand up on what I've been doing later on. But yeah, I've been backlogged with a few little things here and there, but I do have full intent to go and take a look at those PRs. So they are on my backlog to take a look at for sure.
Sure, not a bother. Okay. Also looking at some issues. So there was a number of issues that had comments back from users. So I'm going through them at the moment. Probably the majority of them, they might close out as just question issues. But there's one that is a bug, all right, that I'm looking at around if you deploy a release with a service account, and then you decide you don't want the service account anymore, and you update it. It is getting rid of the service account resource object, but it's not updating the pod. So I'm looking at that at the moment. It seems to be, I'm kind of down to the bowels of the Koops API. So it seems to be around the patch, how the patch is applied. But I'll keep looking at that and see how it goes. It might close out an older PR as well, because I think the older PR is a duplicate. But I need to research it more to find out the issue. But it is an issue, all right. And also doing some PR reviews. And I gave a comment back as well, Matt, to around the Helm list, because maybe I'm missing something here. But from the way, because I had a couple of resources already deployed, and there were different dates. So it's not sorting them like I thought they should, and under reverse. So I'll keep working with the person that's doing the PR, and we'll see if we can narrow it down. Hopefully it's a fault on my side. And I'll hand over to Matt Fisher.
Okay, I will put the link on that one. I know exactly what PR you're talking about on there as well. So I can help out and see and take a look into that one as well. Because I think I originally wrote the unit test for that one. It was just like very scarce to get it going. And he fixed up a couple of things, so I can help take a look at the integration tests after he's gone through and added some more releases to the list object, so we can test and verify that behavior. So I can certainly take a look at that. For me this last week, wow, I didn't write anything in my bullet journal. I'm actually quite sad this week. Last week I was kind of working on some of the summary factors around some other package I can't remember inside of Helm 3, but right now what I'm currently taking a look at is the OCI integration. So some of the stuff like there's Helm chart save and Helm chart pull, Helm chart push, Helm chart load, I think is another command in those. So those were all kind of like tacked on to Helm to try and experiment with OCI registries with Helm 3. But I'm taking a deeper look into things like chart dependencies, taking a look into the chart downloaders and like Helm install actually integrating with OCI registries. So actually going and doing the full work to integrate it with the Helm 3 CLIs as they are today. So just kind of playing around with that and seeing how that would work. And kind of like removing the old chart repository infrastructure from there as a default and just seeing how that kind of shakes out in the infrastructure. So that's what I've been playing with this last week. The other thing I've also got on the list with Bridget, who's been helping me with the blog post for just kind of high-level overview on things that we've been working on for Helm 3, just coming up to KubeCon Barcelona. So we have something up and available there too. So that's what I've been looking at this last week. Pass it off to Brian.
Yeah, sure. I, for the last week, have been basically doing the final implementation on the GoLua project. Kind of hit my target yesterday evening, and today I'm just going through and just kind of like shaping the code up. And my plan is to have it updated on the repo later today or early tomorrow because I have a dentist appointment this afternoon. But that's about what I've been doing. I'll pass to Adam.
Yeah, so this past week, I've been kind of all over the place, just trying to help out a few places with different PRs and investigate a few different issues that came up through some implementation details. Also, looking at or fleshing out a idea I had around the removal of Helm init and lazy creating all cache and data directories because we don't really store that much config that where we need to have some data or directory structure created initially for Helm. So that would be a big user experience win if we didn't have to run Helm init if you just needed the binary and you were good to go, I think so. Reviewing Fisher's PR was kind of giving me that idea. So he kind of said, go ahead and flesh it out and see what happens with that. So in addition to that, I've got charts rendering as atomic units now, which is going to be helpful for when we do the Lua implementation, because we're going to have to render per chart rather than per individual chart rather than the full chart hierarchy at the same time. So that work is moving forward, and I believe that's all.
One thing as well, Adam, actually, so during the design yesterday, or at least going through the dependency updates and with the OCI integration, some of the stuff does actually touch some of the data files, like the repositories.yaml. So perhaps maybe we can pair up later today or something offline and take a look at that again, because I think I do have some ideas on there as well, like the lazy loading and the lazy creating and all that kind of stuff too. Because I don't want you to work too hard on some of those things and for it to be complete not, because some of those files might be gone simply because of changes around the OCI registries and how it handles with like chart repositories.
Don't worry, I never work hard.
Of course.
So you're safe.
Thanks.
No, that'd be good, because I also want to have a discussion around the registry stuff in regards to migration and backwards compatibility and what our plan is there, because the storage of charts from registries, I think, is going to be very different from the way we do it today. And that might be really confusing to users if we're storing charts locally two different ways based on which command you use to fetch it. So I think that might be something we need to take a look at.
Do you want to talk about it as a discussion item here, or do you want to pair on that discussion first offline before bringing it back, just to talk about the design?
Well, let's sync up, and then maybe we can have it be a discussion item next week, just because I need to get an understanding first if there's anything in place yet.
Yeah, okay, that sounds fair.
And let's see. Well, that's all from me. That's all from core people, right? Yeah. Back to you, Fisher.
All right, so that's all the core maintainers. Does anyone from the community want to bring up any stand-up or talk about anything before we move on to discussion? All right, I'll take that as silence. So the only thing that's on the discussion list is just, it was me, which was talking about an update on kind of like the Helm 3 development progress. So there was a little bit of a stand up here, but I also wanted to give a little bit of an update on the Helm 3 project list since the last time that we did this, just so people can see what's going on and kind of like how we're tracking progress moving forward towards the first alpha. So I'm going to share my screen here quickly. So for the Helm project, can everyone see my screen? Is that big enough or is that too tiny?
Keep
Well,
going.
let me get my telescope.
Okay. Is that big enough?
Try one more. Yeah, that's
There?
probably good enough. There still might be some squinting, but it should be good enough.
Okay. So I'll horizontally scroll here a little bit, but for the most part, move your faces out of here so I can see. So this is the project backlog that we've got going on. So you can see there's the backlog, there's accepted. This is a new card that we just added from the last week after Adam and I were repairing on it. In progress, awaiting review, LGTM, and done. So to show a little bit on the progress, so the idea of this whole project board, when most or all the targets have either been moved from the accepted to done, then that's when we can consider the alpha is done. The backlog was added here. So there's a difference between backlog and accepted. I'll get that into a minute. So here's the current progress. These are all the PRs that are currently awaiting reviews, either from myself, Adam, anyone else who's a core maintainer that's working and comfortable with Helm 3, just to go through those. So like Ian Howell's schema validation is in there. I'm looking for a review. Martin Hickey, your library chart stuff is in there, just waiting for reviews. So these are a couple of things that are in the backlog that have been done and ready to go. Once it's LGTM, we're ready to merge it. So we've got a whole bunch of cards here that are just all done. So it's just like kind of auto merge, ready to go and merge. So these are the things that are currently in progress, and they're either tracking the issues that are currently awaiting review, just kind of going through the backlog and whatnot. So we've got in here Brian's stuff that he's working on with the Lua hooks, the release object CRD, which Adam has kind of like been playing around, tossing with a little bit here and there. Ian Howell's stuff again, Martin's stuff. This stuff has been with the XDG home, and then also the chart repository stuff that I've been playing around with. So these are all the things that we know that are currently in progress for Helm 3. And these are the things that we need to finish up by the time that we're done for the alpha. And these are all the action items, which is great. That basically means that once this is all done, merged, and moved through, then the only thing that we have left really is Helm 3 documentation to actually accept and go through. There's no other blockers. Everything else is kind of like a nice to have in for the alpha. So that's why they're in the backlog here, like the 3-way merge patch. We'd love to have that in, but we can cut an alpha 1 without it and move forward for an alpha 2 or alpha 3 as we go and test that and iterate and go forward. So hopefully, if there's any questions, please feel free to bring it up with me, or happy to talk about it and whatnot. But I just wanted to give a quick little overview on like where we are with Helm 3 and the alpha and everything else. So everyone's kind of like on the same page. So,
and just to add one more thing too, this list, the accepted there, that's to be able to release an alpha. That is very much still organic, where there's some tasks that are going to come up that we're unaware of yet. So there's still going to be more work there. Like a lot of these bigger ones, there's still kind of a lot of exploring to do. So it might break out into other tasks. So this isn't the final list where there's only going to be one other open issue for Helm 3. So there'll still be more stuff going into the accepted for that.
Right, exactly. Because I know like you've played around with dependency fetching and a couple of other things as well that you've experimented around with, but some things haven't necessarily materialized into like, this is something that we should probably get in and capture for the alpha. Or it's a major blocker that we need to make sure that we account for this by the alpha.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, we're just trying to track as much as we have in our mental minds about what we need for alpha. And then if there's more information, either the community comes out with things that they're interested in adding for the alpha or whatnot, then we can add and track those in for the list. So just kind of making sure that we can keep these things on track and that we're ready to go for the release. So that is all I had to share. Were there any questions on that, or was there any kind of like feedback or anything like that before we, I think that's it on the discussion list for today.
I suppose if things come up, maybe, and I see you did it the last time, someone picked up on it, is because you can't get to everything, to just create create an issue or a PR, and just so that the rest of us can help out and help with some of the workload, because things are going to come up, whatever. So what best way we can help, as opposed to now trying to put more on the backlog, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, exactly. And that's why I was saying that accepted column, it's not final. So as stuff comes up that can be broken off into separate tasks, that's where I'm going to queue it up, is that column right there.
Perfect.
Yeah, so for example, in a recent PR that I made, actually, I can't remember the issue right now, but there was ongoing work. Oh, actually, that was the Helm list work, the sort work. That was basically like we were refactoring the action package, and during the integration tests, we found that there was some bugs around sorting and how it wasn't being propagated. So I opened up an issue for that as something that we should probably track and throw that in there. So I'm glad that's going through. Actually, it should probably go through in the alpha, because that's a alpha bug. If we can try and review that, but yeah. So yeah. I think that does it for the call then. Sweet, we're finishing on time today.
Assignments.
We need to do assignments.
Yes. So Taylor, thank you for your contribution for voting yourself in as issue Sherpa. Does anyone want to take moderator for next week? Martin?
I'll take it.
All right. Thank you, Martin. And for notes, I'd be happy to take notes. So I'll vote myself in, unless someone else is keen. No. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good Thursday. Talk to you all later.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.